I have no idea how I got to this point right now. This video was supposed to be about how I miss Tyrone Woodley, to be completely honest, and how he should come back to the UFC. And then searching through Tyrone Woodley's Twitter, I see he's a part of a crypto scam. I guess he has his own token or whatever you call them, meme coins, whatever. So, doing some research into his cryptocurrency, Tyrone Woodley, apparently Tyrone's in an even bigger scam than that, and that is Global Fight League, and that's how I found out about Global Fight League. And I started doing some research. This all happened about an hour ago, guys. So this is I will say, this is very basic level research. I did not deep dive into this. I could have, but I mean, come on, guys. I have 100 subs. I ain't doing all that right now. But I do think I'm going to bring up some amazing points here in this video, because when you've been around the world, not around the world, when you've lived in this world long enough, you see some of the tendencies of companies and how they make money, and even if their business fails. And so we're going to talk about how this might be, I'm not saying it is, it might be kind of a money grab. And also we're going to talk about these people who, if you guys remember, I think it's still ongoing, I forget, the antitrust lawsuit where the UFC is having to pay out a bunch of money for unethical business practices to past fighters. And you had people such as Vanderlei Silva and I forgot the other guy. About a lot of these fighters are talking about their CTE, and this website is taking a long time to load, but yeah, anyway, these fighters are talking about their CTE and how their life is so horrible right now, and as if they were forced at gunpoint to fight, apparently, and it's the UFC's fault. But then they go and they join the Global Fight League. They will show up in court and say the UFC hurt me, my brain hurts now, and then they'll go and sign with Global Fight League. This is what I mean, and many other MMA YouTubers, what they mean when they say a lot of these UFC fighters are autistic idiots. They are autistic idiots. So let's get into it. We're gonna get into why I think this is a scam. Now, Ariel Helwani did a video with the CEO or the head, the face of Global Fight League. Forgot his name because it's a random dude. But he used to be the head or something of World Series of Fighting, and now, which is now the PFL. And now he's starting this. And he gets asked about his investors and how they got the money and stuff, because this was supposed to start in 2021, early 2021, and he was on Ariel's show this was supposed to start in 2023, early 2023, and he told Ariel this back in 2021. So this has been years in the making, and now at the end of 2024, it's finally starting, and then early 2025. So they needed funding, and they finally got it. So if you just follow the money, you kind of can see how this is a scam. Now, I'll just play the clip, and then we'll talk about more of why I think this is a scam.
I asked you 3 years ago about the backing, and so you've alluded to some of the people who are backing this venture. And I don't want to call it a promotion, because you corrected me last time that it's not a promotion. It's more of an organization, and the structure is more akin to a professional sports league, if you will. Could I ask about who is behind this? Obviously, we know you're the founder, you're the face of it all, but who is actually behind this?
Our main investors are tech entrepreneur out of Silicon Valley. He's our partner on our app we're launching with the league. That's our big financer. We've had some other, friends and family people help out along the way, but for the most part, that was the one we were waiting for to kind of fill up that round to really just have everything we needed to launch and do it the right way.
And can I ask specifically who that is?
All right. So a tech entrepreneur out of whatever in California, the Tech Valley people, and that he's helping with their app. And I think on this app, that's where they're going to stream it, because later in this podcast, he says that they don't have a streaming or TV partner deal. So they're going to stream it on their own app first until they get one and show proof of concept. But a tech guy out of Silicon Valley is funding them. A tech guy who made an app. There are a lot of tech people out there, guys, who will start companies that then they will file for bankruptcy once they got the money from investors. This is with everything, and I'll go into that in a second. But I'll continue. He asked, and he got funding from family members and stuff. Well, that would be impossible. You would need millions and millions of dollars to get this off the ground. I doubt he got money from family members. Probably just added that in there to make it sound less shady.
I don't know if he wants his actual name out there. Yeah, I don't think he wants his name.
Okay.
Announced.
Some people do, some people don't. But
yeah, so I've told a couple people, and then ultimately what happens is everyone starts hitting him up and trying to sell him X, Y, and Z. So just not interested in.
Totally understand. Totally understand. Okay, so what is it? What is the Global Fight League?
So we're launching 6 global teams.
All right. So Ariel asks, what's his name? Because, well, he's a journalist, an investigator. He will look him up. All it's going to take is a one Google search, and then you'll see all of his probably failed businesses, scams, where he would collect money, and then the business would fail, file bankruptcy, don't have to pay anything back. He doesn't want his name out there, he says. Why would he not want his name out there? Because there's dirt. So Ariel knows this. That's why Ariel asked, so maybe he can make a future video about this. Or before Ariel really promotes this fight league to go against the UFC, he wants to make sure it's legit and see if the guy funding this is a scammer. And of course, he says, "Oh no," with the dead look in his face that he has. He doesn't want his name out there because I told a couple guys once in a bar, and they went right to him and asked for money for their business idea. Dude, no, that's not why you don't want his name out there. You don't want his name out there because when this business, not a promotion, he says, even though later in the video he says it's a promotion. This league that's akin to NFL and NBA, this league, when it goes under, the investor doesn't want to be known when people are like, wait, this was all a scam. All right. I'm going to tell you really quick what I mean by this. Crypto. I'll give you the easiest example. People put money into crypto the head is one person. I don't know, Logan Paul, for example. Put money into it. Boom, boom, boom. Get all this money. And then all of a sudden, at the very top, like Logan Paul or the Haktua girl and a few of their associates that help make the crypto, they just rug pull, take all the money, and then boom, it's dead. It's not regulated, so they don't need to worry about it. That's an example. Other examples would be companies or businesses where they would get a bunch of investors, and then they would scoop just out of all the money they bring in for their company, or charity events where people are like, donate me money, I'm giving to charity to help the hurricane victims. They will take just a small percentage out of that for themselves, and then do the charity or do the making my business succeed and put the money there, whatever. But that small percentage that you might not notice, if you're taking in millions of dollars, that small percentage could be $1 million or $500,000 that you just profited, and no one will have any idea unless they do a deep investigation. And then when the company or business inevitably fails, boom, just file bankruptcy. You're good. You had all these people you needed to pay back, all the money you said you would owe them. Or in this case, they say they pay fighters 50-50, which if that's true, it's going to fail. You can't sustain yourself, especially as a new business like that. Even if the UFC was 50-50, things would be changing in the UFC. They would not be able to spend as much as they're spending. Health insurance, they talk about health insurance for the fighters. Yeah, they could just file bankruptcy. Boom. Now they don't have to pay back anything. They don't have to cover any insurance. Bankruptcy saves you from a lot of stuff. Even Donald Trump talks about that. Just file bankruptcy. Bankruptcy, you're good. Yeah, and also too, when I see all this stuff, they're promoting themselves as this like good guy fight league. We pay 50-50. And even when you go to their website or I think it was on their Twitter, like I forgot where I think it was here. They say like our mission is to embrace fighters as true equitable partners from inception. They're trying to get the fans on their side and the fighters on their side. And health insurance 50-50. See, support us, trying to get as much goodwill and money as they can before they go under. It's not, I can see right through this. I'm sorry. Like all right. So I think that's all I wanted to show from Ariel's video. Yeah, it's too good to be true, and you have the fighters fighting for them saying, oh yeah, this is really interesting, and this seems like they're doing all the right things. It's like, can you just open up your mind for 1 second and just learn a little bit how business works? For example, I won't go too in depth for this, but just another example about how people do these scams. Contracts. There's a global conflict going on right now. Actually, 2 global conflicts going on right now, with a few other mini ones, but the 2 main ones going on has to do with warfare. Contracts are given out to companies to weapons, rebuilding certain countries, and blah blah blah. And there are people involved at the very top of those contracts or those companies of rebuilding or making the weapons, all the little mini businesses involved with that whole conflict at the very top, and they'll laundry some money out of it, take a little bit out of it, and that's how they become millionaires. And that's why things like that happen. That's all I'm going to say for that. I know I'm not going to describe it in detail, but hopefully you guys understand what I mean from that scenario. Just do a little bit of research how businesses work, and when people keep having failed businesses, how they keep getting richer and richer. All right, let's talk about this dude. Wanderlei Silva in a dress and heels. All right. So, if you guys remember the antitrust lawsuit, Silva said this about the UFC. While fighting for the UFC, I suffered many significant injuries, including concussions. I fear that during my career, I have suffered traumatic brain injury, TBI, and am noticing symptoms common with TBI and CTE, including depression, mood swings, and irritability. He added, to date, no treatment for CTE has been found. I suffer from sleep apnea, which, by the way, I used to work in that field. Sleep apnea has nothing to do with CTE. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it could make it worse, but all the patients I saw who had sleep apnea, they don't have CTE, they just still had sleep apnea. If he didn't have CTE, I bet he would still have sleep apnea. And I have difficulty sleeping and breathing because of the sleep apnea. That I can recall. I have had 4 surgeries on my nose, 1 on my face, 2 on my left knee, 1 on my right knee, and 1 on my elbow. This would truly be life-changing money for me and for other members of the class. So he's in court wanting the court to basically give the fighters the whatever they were looking for so they get money from the antitrust lawsuit. I know the UFC like screwed them over with these contracts, whatever, blah blah blah. But don't come in saying like, look, I broke bones because I was a fighter, which I made that decision. They didn't come to my door in 2002 when I was 17 and forcing me to fight. That did not happen. So he says all this, like I suffered all this, blah, 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 blah. But then he joins the Global Fight League. Should the Global Fight League be scared of a lawsuit because a guy who has CTE, which probably wasn't even from the UFC, it was probably from Strikeforce. Is he going to sue the Global Fight League? Or say the Global Fight League gave him CTE? because a lot of these fighters, guys, who are in the Global Fight League now, like Verdum, I would just say Verdum. He was another guy in the antitrust lawsuit. He's another guy who signed with the Global Fight League. Why are you fighting again if fighting ruined your life, apparently? It just makes their whole antitrust lawsuit look like a fucking joke. All right, so I go everything here. Yeah, so this video here from MMA Digest, I'm just going to play it and comment on some of the things, if it'll pull up.
GFL, Global Fight League, is a new player in the MMA space. They have 300 fighters who have signed with them. 120 are going to be drafted. It's a team format. Their draft begins January 24th, and their season starts April 2025. 20 fighters are on each team, and they have a lot of guys signed to their organization, like Woodley, Verdum, Anthony Pettis, Alexia.
These guys, there's like, I think there was 300 or something that they were signed, but they get drafted to the team, and it's only going to be 120. So it's less than half. And then the rest of the other guys will just stay free agents then. And dude, looking at this list, I did not know a lot of these people weren't even fighting anymore. Like, for example, I thought Anthony Pettis, I thought he was in PFL or even ONE FC. I didn't know Thiago Santos was out. I thought this dude was still in the UFC. Andrei Arlovsky. Shit. Jeremy Stevens isn't in the UFC. Well, that makes sense because he was doing bare knuckle. Yeah, a lot of these people, Jimmy Rivera, Hector Lombard. I mean, I knew they were out. Just some of these people, I had no idea that they were out of the UFC or out of their other promotions that they were fighting in, like Gegard Mousasi. He was really good, and I think he was in Bellator after the UFC. He's not. I didn't even know he was a free agent.
Linig, Junior Dos Santos, Hector Lombard, Luke Rockhold, Abubakar Nurmagomedov, Vanderlei Silva, Alexander Gustafsson, Thiago Santos, Andrei Arlovsky, Kevin Lee, Frank Mir, Alir Latifi, Jeremy Stevens, Marlon Moraes, Benson Henderson, Gegard Mousasi, Greg Hardy, more. Some people don't like team formats on the same roster. However, they also mentioned insurance funds and retirement funds and a lot of their roster looks like they have retired or are semi-retired, but...
Right. So 50% revenue share. Yeah, right, dude. Yeah, right. Retirement insurance funds. Yeah, right. You're going to go under. You're going to go under. This business is going to fail. Also, if you don't think this is going to fail, look at the other fight leagues happening. I think ONE FC is losing money. They're only afloat through their investors from the Middle East. So they're losing money. And ONE FC is like the next big thing right under UFC. And they're still using money, even in the Asian market. Eagle FC. You guys remember Khabib's Eagle FC? Even with that thing, I didn't go too deep into it, but I just remember hearing one time, like, when Khabib was dealing with all the tax crap going on, there was some shadiness going on with Eagle FC. That's what I'm talking about, dude. This is going to be like Eagle FC. And PFL's nothing. And Bellator, I think, just went out of business. This is going to flop.
It is a nice perk as well. Some of their weight categories are different as well. For their women's divisions, they have 120 pounds, 130 pounds, and 140 pounds. So they're all catch weights there. Also, their men's middleweight division is 200 pounds, and their light heavyweight division is 225 pounds.
Yeah, so like, he was asked on Ariel's show about the weight divisions, and everything is a weight division up. So it's not an official weight division by the commission. It's the MMA. I don't even know the league's name. Whatever this league's called, I already forgot. It's their version of the weight classes. So it's not even a legitimate weight class. It's just from their organization, their made up weight division. So for example, I think he said like Tyrone Woodley, who used to fight at 170, he's going to fight at like 180. It's just like 10 pounds more. So like Kevin Lee at 155 will fight at 165. And it's all because they don't, I think it's because they don't want them missing weight. because they can't afford that. They can't have a whole like fight going on and then this person misses weight. They can't afford that. So they're like, no, everyone's making weight because nobody's cutting shit.
A bit of a different weight system in the GFL. They want to eliminate harsh weight cutting, so guys will likely fight 10 pounds heavier than normal. So a guy like Kevin Lee, who was fighting at lightweight at 155, would now fight at 165 in this league, which works for him. He wanted a 165-pound weight class anyways, so he'd be happy about that. And a guy like Tyron Woodley, who was fighting at 170, would be fighting at 180 pounds in this league. I kind of like this concept, though, because it's just healthier for the athletes, and you'll probably see better fights because they're not so drained. They're not killing themselves a day before killing themselves in the cage. They signed 300 fighters. 120 get drafted on January 24th. The other 180 are then free agents and can go wherever they like. The ages of some of the fighters, though, is problematic. Geriatric Fight League, GFL, Grandpa Fight League, Frank Mir, 45, Andre Arlovski, 45, Hector Lombard, 46, Trinaldo, 46, Verdum, 47, Vanderlei, 48. I mean, I like that they're trying, and I want to see this thing do well, but I don't know, washed up fighters, and the team concept, like, it's been done before. MMA is not really a team sport. The IFL tried doing it. San Jose Razor Claws, Toronto Dragons, Tokyo Sabres. It's like, no one really cares about teams in MMA. It's a one-on-one sport.
Guys, try not to skip and listen to me. Please do everything you can to help me buy a
Guys,
new
I'm
tent.
sorry, I can't
Please
skip this.
donate
She said
even
I
a
can't
little.
skip it.
We are asking for
I
your
can't do
help.
it. I can't. She told me
Only
I can't.
because you are only hope. Is this difficult?
It was difficult to skip. It was.
World's next major professional sports league. An evolution in sports and for the first time in history.
Alright, so-
a true league for
So
mixed
basically,
martial arts.
what'll happen
Stands as the third
is,
most popular
go to
worldwide. Together, we fight.
all right, so
Concept as the World Fight League.
yeah, Darren Owen was his name. So the teams will fight and they'll get points. Like if it's a decision, you'll get however many points. If it's a knockout, you'll get more points. And then the teams that will then have the most points after the season or something will then be put into the playoff brackets. And then they'll play it out like a normal playoff thing.
League, WFL, and it was supposed to start in February of last year, but it didn't materialize, but now has materialized as the Global Fight League, which is supposed to start in April. As Hector Lombard's thoughts on the new league, he says it's the best ever. Former UFC fighter Kyle Daukaus tells me the league is very interesting, seems like they're doing all the right things so far, very exciting.
Very interesting. Seems like they're doing all the right things so far. Very excited. You're an idiot. You're an idiot if you don't think this is a scam. And these people, I swear, there's some people like influencers or former athletes, they'll do anything to not work a job. Anything to not work a job. Like Woodley, he'll get embarrassed in front of Jake Paul and knocked out so he doesn't have to work a job. Now he's doing a crypto scam. Anything to not work a job, dude. And then these people here, they'll sue the UFC in the antitrust lawsuit and say the UFC gave me CTE, I need this money. And then with their CTE, go here and fight. They'll do anything to not work a job. And these fighters, these washed up old guys, if someone came to them and they're like, I have Team Chumamawama from California, I have them winning the playoffs, and you're on the New York Fire Gators, you need to lose by a devastating KO so that you don't make it to the playoffs, or that you get kicked out of the playoffs, your team loses, so the other California team will win. You just go to, I swear, dude, what's gonna happen is there'll be 4 teams left, or there'll be the last 2 teams left, and I don't know specifically how these team fights work, but they're going to go to a few players or fighters on the team and be like, listen, I'll give you 500 grand to take a dive. And they'll go to another fighter and be like, I'll give you 100 grand to take a dive. And they won't negotiate. They'll just be like, okay, they'll take the money, even though they could have gotten more to take a dive. And then those two fighters taking a dive will guarantee the other team's victory. And the people who paid them off will make millions off of bets or whatever. You're just losing a few hundred grand by making the other people take a dive. I remember, bro. I remember, dude. I'm just saying. I remember Chael Sonnen. He was about to beat was it Tito Ortiz? And then he had his back, and then he did a front flip, landed into right on the ground in front of Tito Ortiz in a half guard position, but his head facing Vanderlei or facing Tito. And then Tito was just like, oh, done. Fixed fight. And what was it? Chael was a washed up guy out of the UFC and another promotion. Fixed fight. Taking money for fixed fights. These people are very susceptible to fixed fights. This thing's going to be so corrupt. It's going to be so corrupt.
Some of the guys should not be fighting, though, like Verdum, because he recently said, while fighting for the UFC, I suffered many concussions. I fear that during my career, I suffered traumatic brain injury, and I'm noticing symptoms with TBI and CTE, including irritability, anger, anxiety, insomnia, and memory loss. I have many lesions and scarring in my brain. I have a cyst that is located centrally within my brain, making surgery thus far impossible. I monitor this cyst with biannual exams to determine if it's growing. To date, no treatment for CTE has been found. Vanderlei Silva also should not be
Verdum's not fearing enough. He's not fearing enough because he's still fighting. Hypocrite.
Fighting because he also recently said, while fighting for the UFC, I suffered many significant injuries, including concussions. I fear during my career, I suffered traumatic brain injury, and I'm noticing symptoms common with TBI and CTE, including depression, mood swings, and irritability. They got a diverse...
The lawyer wrote that for both of them because they say the same thing. I fear, and then irritability, depression, it's the same lawyer wrote the same thing. Then why are you fighting again, dude?
roster. I mean, some fights you could potentially make. Luke Rockhold versus Gegard Mousasi, Jeremy Stevens versus Kevin Lee, Alexander Gustafsson versus Tanner Boser.
You'll notice sometimes if you see me on stage,
guys,
my fingers
talking
are like
about
this. I'm holding it to
scams.
my side,
Look at this guy.
But my fingers are like this. This is a Silva technique.
Silva
called the
Ultramind technique.
Silva teaches you to train
this
your
guy's
brain
like
so
all over YouTube, and it's so annoying. That's another great
Bobby
example of a
Covington
scam.
made some joke at Media Day about pager bomb.
All right, I think was that all he talked about with. Yeah, then you guys want to see Marab get a massage in the jacuzzi, or he's given one, but he also received it. Ugh, haram. Anyway, yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a scam, 100%. I don't think people realize, and I learned this once I got older too, like you just file for bankruptcy, you're good. Like you can promise the world, just start it's obviously a lot harder, but just start these companies, like what we just saw the ad of the Silva technique. Start a business, scam a bunch of people, just like crypto, take in a bunch of money, file for bankruptcy. And not live up to anything, but you took a little 2 mil, like say you generated through investors and some sales, you generated like $300 million. You and a couple of your buddies who started this and the one investor guy who gave you the money to begin with, you all each get a couple million, and then the other money that you lost or whatever, bankruptcy. That's just my surface level knowledge, but just seeing the surface level knowledge, like how many fight leagues have we seen already? And these people already know, dude. They already know you're not gonna... It's just the UFC or nothing. Like, they know this will fail. 100. And you gotta have fights on all the... He's comparing it to the NBA and NFL, how it's a league. You're gonna need to have fights, the teams fighting all the time. And with fights, you need to... just watch a Demetrius Johnson interview. He's like, man, they want me to fight within 6 months. I don't want to do that. 6 months is a long time, dude. These people don't fight. Fighters don't fight. And once they start getting 50-50 revenue, and therefore they should be getting decent money. They ain't gonna be fighting. They're gonna be like, maybe 2027. I'll come back 2027. It's gonna managing these teams of fighters is gonna be a mess. No, I don't have faith in this. I don't know. Comment down below, like, subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Eagle FC, baby. Just look at that. Eagle FC.